Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, I actually can't explain how freeing it is to be back on here. Obviously, I did a big old catch up of nationals, my last competition, so you're fully up to date with my training. If you haven't got up with that, by the way, like I do go through why I kind of fell off the face of the earth. But I am so excited to be back. Now, you may have also seen since then, I've also posted one episode of my podcast to my YouTube channel. Obviously, I've changed the format a little bit, but to start integrating a few more styles of content, because I simply, if I look at my mission, like why I started my business, why I do what I do as a women's strength and empowerment coach, it is simply to help people, and I really want to help as many of you guys as possible. So I know that this channel started out as my vlogging, sharing my journey, and I know you guys love that. To me, it's like, it's almost a part of who I am, so I do really want to keep that up. So today I am going to be doing a full-blown vlog, but you might start seeing a few different styles of videos and things on my channel as well. I really hope that you guys love it. Now, I have a really exciting announcement. It's actually the reason I felt inspired to come on today and to vlog, because I'm going to take you through my training session. Now, we are deep in an off season, so I haven't really got any competitions lined up for quite some time, so I am fully building, growing, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like and why. But I have something so exciting coming up next week, the 3rd of April. I am hosting a free masterclass. Now, this is specifically for the girly pops who refuse to settle, who refuse to choose between being strong and having their dream fucking body. Because if there is one thing that I have learned through the years of coaching, of training, it's that you can have both. And I'm so sick of seeing like this myth. The fitness industry always sells to us that you have to be either strong and fully commit to that, which means you can say goodbye to, you know, working for aesthetics, and you have to not give a fuck about that in order to get strong, because obviously it means guzzling thousands of calories and training so fucking hard, and it being your entire identity and having no time for something else, and you have to fully commit to just doing that. Or you work for the dream body, you work for the physique and the aesthetics, but because of the nature of that, you have to say goodbye and be okay with not really pushing your strength, because this has to be the sole focus. And in the last video, in the last podcast episode, I shared a little bit about that, because I remembered recently this one random Thursday. Okay, so I have always stuck to very specific training days like clockwork, and back in the day, Thursday used to be my second upper body session of the week. So you guys will know I grew up as a dancer. I was a competitive dancer for 16 years, and something that was so ingrained as, you know, my identity as a dancer was that I was the strong dancer. So when we would go to competitions, at the end of each one, when you got your, you know, your mark, so to tell you how well you did in your category, you also would get comments and feedback, which is actually really helpful. But always, almost always, my comment would be how I was a strong dancer, how I was a powerful one. And that's kind of how I always identified, like, of my squad and of like the senior girls that I trained with, that I grew up with. We had, you know, the ballerina. There was one girl who was fucking incredible as a in ballet, and she went to train in that. We had a few like all-rounders. I was the tapper and the strong dancer. So that's kind of how I've always been self-proclaimed. So of course, when I went to strength, like, I will never forget the first time I ever went to the uni gym with my boyfriend at the time. And I was just immediately drawn to what we called the pit. So it was where we had all of the barbells, so where everyone did their ollie lifting, the powerlifting team would go and train there. I was just drawn to that. And the first thing that I wanted to do was pick up a barbell and deadlift. And I remember doing 40 kilos for a sumo deadlift, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so strong. How amazing is this? But because in the back of my head, well, my goal at the time was to lose weight and to tone up. So I needed to not be doing that. What I ended up doing was dragging myself away from that, and I went to the treadmill, and I ended up doing like a booty band and an ab circuit. And then eventually, when I started doing some more weights, I was just glued to the dumbbells and the cables, but out the corner of my eye, I could always see like the deadlift platform and barbells like calling my name. But because this is what the fitness industry and what I'd seen online had always sold me, is if you're going to focus on dropping weight and toning up, yes, of course, you're going to lift some weights, but we're not going to solely focus on like pushing as much weight as you possibly can. And I just remember in my latest podcast episode, I used this analogy, but it felt like someone had like tied a piece of string to my sternum, and it's like I was just being pulled and I resisted it for so fucking long. But I so vividly remember, because I used to train upper body on a Thursday. There was this one Thursday after I moved back home after uni where I was training in my local pure gym, and I was, what was I doing? I was on the cables, and I think I was probably doing some like tricep pull downs or something like that. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw this woman who's probably the most jacked, ripped person at this point I've probably seen in my life as a female. And she got under the barbell with what must have been like 120 kilos on the bar. And at this point, I don't think I'd ever seen a woman squat that much. And she unracked it and she squatted it like it was an empty bar. And I remember my jaw being on the floor, and like I was just so shocked and I was in admiration. And I swear to you, in that moment, in the back of my mind, I had this thought come up of like, maybe I could do that one day. And as fleeting as it came, I squashed it, because I told myself like, nah, that can't be you. Like, first of all, she's probably had to work so fucking hard. And it's not that I was afraid of hard work, but I had this perception that if you go all in on strength training, like that is all you do, and you grind and you have to work so fucking hard, and that is your entire identity, and you have to give up everything else. I also, at this point, like there was this little bit of pride in me that didn't want to give up the way that I looked, because at this point I've been working for what, two, 3 maybe years on my physique. And I had told myself, listen, if I want to get that strong, I'm gonna have to guzzle thousands of calories, and I don't want to look bulky, like I don't want to look fluffy and like I've been bulking for 2 years just so that I can squat 100 kilos. And I had so much freedom in my training. I loved being able to walk in and kind of do whatever I wanted, knowing that I would, at the end of the day, eventually look the way that I wanted to. But like I said, it literally felt like this tug, and like I was doing upper, lower, push, pull, and as those styles of workouts went on, I just, the calling got even bigger. Like, have you ever applied for a job or like a uni course, a degree, anything like that, where you're kind of doing it because it's gonna look good on your CV? And you know that you'll probably enjoy it, like it's at the end of the day like what you've trained for or what you've always thought you would do, but you know in your heart of hearts you're just doing it because you told your parents that that's what you do, because you've already got the degree in it. So, you know, you've already invested that time and money, you probably should do something related to it, right? And it just isn't your calling. And at the time you squash it because you feel like you have to, but ultimately it just like isn't the thing you know you could or should be doing. And this is literally what that to me felt like. It was just like every single day I'd walk past the deadlift platform and I'd imagine myself pulling 100 kilos. And listen, I have worked with so many women now. I've spoken on my social media about it a lot. I know you guys have followed my journey, and I know for a fact you will feel like that too. That you'll walk past a deadlift platform and you'll literally imagine yourself pulling 100 kilos. And you know, like those TikToks that go viral where like someone pulls benches, squats, lifts something crazy impressive, and like you see all these gym bros in the background going like, and stuff like that, and you imagine yourself doing that. And you imagine like the energy in the room or in the gym shifting because of what you've pulled, and you know all those eyes are on you, not in a judgy way, but just of like a, fuck, she's so impressive. And like maybe right now in your training, you're leg pressing plates upon plates, and maybe you are getting comments of like, fuck, I didn't expect you to be that strong. Like, that's a lot of fucking weight on there from that like lovely old guy that's in everyone's gym. Maybe people have even said to you that you should try powerlifting, and you fucking love it. And I listen, I know because I have been there too. Like, this is why I started my journey, because it felt like a calling, because I've always been the strong person, and I squashed for so long wanting to dig into that because I thought it meant, well, I've trained so long for my aesthetics, so I either do this or I get strong, and I couldn't have both. And let me tell you, I squashed it for ages, and then I kind of just decided, hang on, like, fuck that. Like, why can't I have both? I deserve both. I know in my heart of hearts and at my core, I'm strong. Like, it's the way that I've always been. And listen, even when I was focused on my physique, every single week, I'd want to push my hip thrust, I'd want to push my shoulder press, my dumbbell press, my lat pull downs. Like, that was kind of what I was chasing. Otherwise, I genuinely think I would have been so bored with that style of training. And so I know you can have both, because the fitness industry has told you that you can't, but I say fuck that. And so I have created something so exciting to show you how you can, because this is coming from me now, the most confident I've ever been in my body, probably the best body that I have ever had, objectively speaking, and I am the strongest that I've ever been. And I know that you can feel that way too. So I want to teach you how you can have the power, the strength, and the body so that you can become the strongest woman in your gym whilst simultaneously building the body of your fucking dreams. So if you want to learn how, then introducing the Strength Synthesis Masterclass. This is going to happen on April the 3rd, and it's going to be happening at 6 p.m. UK time, and I need you to be in that room. If this is calling to you, if you followed my journey and you're like, this bitch knows me, get yourself registered. The link is going to be in the description of the video, or you can go to my Instagram if you follow me there, and you can just DM me the word masterclass and I'll send you the link direct to your inbox. I am so fucking excited. So what I want to do in today's video is take you along to one of my off-season training sessions. So today we have my primary deadlift day, my secondary bench day, and then we basically have a whole leg day, because I want to show you the style in which I will be teaching everything that I'm giving you, but I also just kind of want to check in with you and show you a little bit of my training, really, more than anything. So I'm really excited. I have officially got ready. We've also been chatting for a hot minute, so let's get my gym bag and head over. Sorry, Connor's just texted me, 11:11. So let me walk you through my training session. Now, I've already had my oats this morning. It is 11:11, but because of how much we're doing, which we'll see in a second, if I'm not careful, I do actually gas out quite quickly. Like, I just run out of energy. So one thing that I've been really focusing on recently, since I've been upping my calories and been bulking again, is my intra training, like snacks and fuel. So what I've actually ended up investing in is some intra workout, which I've been really enjoying, because the one that I have is from ESN. I do actually still work with them, so I ordered it in my monthly athlete order. I'll post my code as well if you guys want to grab some. I don't remember what's on offer this week, but have a little look, because the reason that I promote theirs is partly, obviously a little shameless plug, but because theirs has dextrin, carbs in it, as well as things like electrolytes and amino acids. So it's kind of like the full cocktail, and electrolytes is kind of the missing piece that I found with other intra workouts that I've tried. So I'd really recommend this one. It's also peach iced tea flavour, and it's so lovely. But today is basically a full leg day. So leg days killed me off when I used to do them at the best of times anyway. So yeah, I'm taking some intra workout with me to get me through. Also made some refinements to my deadlift warm-ups as well, because Connor is about to finish his degree. So he is actually about to qualify as a physio, and we've been doing some extra stuff obviously to help him out with it, but it also helps me because we have discovered, freaking hell, I'm gonna have to grab this one. Whoops. Oopsie daisy, so sorry. Basically, we've discovered I actually have an exceptionally weak glute med. So we've been building in some rehab exercises to help strengthen it in general, but also as part of my warm up to prime it for my things like my deadlifts and my squats. So basically I'll show you some of the updates and then all of the accessories that we've got going on as well, and just take you through the full thing, because with, freaking hell, this is it by the way. Intra workout, peach iced tea flavor. So good. So yeah, you've got cyclic dextrin, pump matrix as well, so especially in off season while I am pushing my accessories, amazing, and an electrolyte complex with amino acids and coconut water. Now, as part of an off season, essentially all that means is you're not in peak season, i.e. you are not prepping for a competition and getting ready to be at your peak strength and peak performance. So basically, it doesn't mean that you just give up on all of your strength. It's just the perfect time, because you don't have to worry so much about perfect fatigue, perfect programming to maximize your SBD singles as much as you possibly can. We get to have a little bit of fun. It also is the perfect opportunity to work on things like your technique and also your accessories to help you to build. So that's exactly what we've been doing. So today is basically just a full-blown leg pump session, but obviously with technical aspects as well. So I'm going back to things like pause deadlifts to reinforce my position. Bench, we're pushing a lot of volume. you kind of don't have to worry about fatigue as much. And because there is no pressure to, like I say, be at your best performance at a very specific time, like you won't lose your baseline strength. It just might be that because fatigue is higher in certain places, or you might be pushing certain aspects more, it just hides your top end strength a touch more. So the only thing that I found with an off season is kind of just adjusting those expectations that you're going to be lifting like the absolute same numbers, like at top end as much as you can. All we're looking to do is raise that baseline. So let's say my max now is 140 squat. So instead of going, right, I want to push to 145, all we'd be doing is going, right, well, I've repped a random off program session. I hit 120 for 5 reps. So all it might be is, right, we're going to look to maintain that. Maybe we push 122 for 5, and actually the overall tonnage of that session is still an insane jump. So rather than pushing top end, we're looking to bring the floor up. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's get to the gym so that I can show you the session. We've got ascending 7s on bench. So like I said, a lot of volume. We've then got 5s for my deadlifts, then moving into paused 5 for working sets to help with technique. And then I think accessories, we've got RDLs, split squats, adduction, abduction, and then we've got walking lunges to finish. It's like a full leg day. So I will take you through and I'll show you all the changes that we've made to everything. But yeah, I'm really excited. So let's go train. We made it. I've got bench first. Like I said, we've got ascending 7. I think I've got 50, 52, and then 55. The one thing that I have found a little bit more challenging with off season is just because we're doing a bit more volume. Obviously the sessions are taking a little bit longer, which is also why I've noticed like I am gassing out quite quickly. So I've had to really challenge myself, as much as it's nice to take my time. If I do, I'm ending up being here for like 2.5 hours, which is not the vibe right now. We're literally running a shorter 3-week block. So basically I've ended up entering the Southern qualifier for British powerlifting, which I spoke about in the last video a little bit, but the qualifying procedures are all changed. So rather than having qualifying totals, and if you hit that, you go straight to nationals, which they still have for all other age categories, but in the open, it's completely different. So in order to secure a spot at nationals, which is not gonna happen for me, you have to have podiumed at the last nationals, win your respective, like we've got All England, so the Scottish, the Welsh, etc, etc. And they've now introduced a Southern and a Northern qualifier. You can still get the QTs and stuff, but I might be pacing for that, so we're just doing a shorter 3-week block at the moment, so we're at least in the timings of it if we were to get in. So I've been slightly more aggressive in jumps this week, so my chest is a bit up. I'll show you my deadlift warm up in a bit more detail. I'm literally just whacking out the band and doing all my usual stuff for now. If you're struggling with getting your arch position, the 3 things I'm always going to recommend is thoracic mobility, so doing your warm ups, but particularly with the foam roller, which I'll show you in a second. Obviously making sure you're doing your banded stuff and warming up your rotator cuffs, etc. I'll just face you this way, is your hip flexors. So doing things like a couch stretch. I'll show you what I do in just a second. I actually do it on the bench, but making sure that you do things like that. So for my hip flexors, oh, I don't know if you can see me. So I'll literally jump on the bench, put this back foot on the support here on the safeties, front foot like this. All you're gonna do, tuck your pelvis and push forwards, and you should feel a really insane stretch up here. If you want to make it harder, you can then extend that same arm. Look who it is. Foam roller. Oh. I don't know if the mic will have picked up how many cracks my back just did. Oh. How was the session?
That was good.
How did you find the intro workout?
It probably gave me more of a pump.
It's got pump
It's got so
formula in it, yeah.
I can feel that, I feel my arms like.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, thicker.
They are getting thicker.
My head, like my frontal cortex.
You have a prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex. And I said, I was like, that's not how prefrontal cortex people speak.
Why? I love you. Look at you with all your stuff.
I like how that mic.
I love you. 7 at 52. Also, I'm working on some really, really exciting freebies, and the next one that I'm working on is actually around your bench and your bench setup. So let me know if this is something you would like me to go through. Nice. And lastly, 55 for 7. In summary, volume. The last bench done, I've literally got my 3 sets, ascending 7s, and that's it. So we've got deadlifts now. The nice part about doing bench first is I'm actually relatively warm, which for a primary day is lovely. All I want to do with my actual warm-ups for my deadlift specifically today is my primary day, which means it's sumo day, because surprise, I'm actually doing combi as my secondary day. We've been running it for the last couple of blocks, and it's feeling really nice. So this is actually the only time that I pull sumo. As the sumo, self-proclaimed sumo queen, because it's literally all I've done ever. So all we're doing for this is getting a little bit more specific. Now, obviously with leg drive, like my quads, my glutes are actually a little bit fired up from bench anyway. But what I want to do is make sure that I'm priming things like my glute med very intentionally. So I briefly mentioned obviously that Connor and I have been looking into a few of my weaknesses. So I'm obviously working with a new coach and she's been amazing. So we're almost like working as a little trio at the moment, and it's helped me to be a lot more independent with making my own calls in training, trusting myself a lot more. But one thing that we've really looked into is, because I have struggled with sciatica for years, and obviously you guys will know, I had my SIJ injury almost probably nearly 2 years ago now, but that obviously caused massive issues for about 6 months where I wasn't able to squat or deadlift. So one thing that we've really worked on is building my hamstrings, because they are weak as fuck. Like Connor did some strength tests with me, and my left side particularly, which is my sciatica affected side, shot. So we've been building that in. I don't think I've done a hamstring curl for about 3 years. So that's been a really amazing accessory, and actually hasn't caused as many triggers as we initially thought, which is also why we're doing combi to support that and really build my posterior. But one thing that we have figured out that I likely have is something called GTPS, which actually stands for, it's a really complicated word to say, but greater I'm not going to be able to say it, trochanteric pain syndrome, which basically is the point at which all of your, like, it's an insertion point near your glutes basically. So it's where you have like hip insertion, hamstring insertion, glute insertion. There's a lot going on there. And so what can happen is when you have weaknesses, obviously it's very hard to figure out what specifically those weaknesses are, but it's basically where you touch it and I get really bad pain. So we've basically been doing like process of elimination to figure out specifically what my weak points are. And we figured out that I have a couple, one being my hamstrings, but one also being my glute med. So part of my warm-ups as well is just to make sure that my glutes and my hammies get nice and fired up, but specifically my glute med as well. So I'll show you what I use in a second, but it has helped a lot. Like, I'm not getting as much pain. My recovery has improved a lot. We're just starting to strengthen as well. So, and also I have very aggressive imbalances because I have guarded, because of my sciatica, that side for years. And then because I then had my SIJ injury on the other side, I then switched and guarded that. So I've kind of like I have quite a lot of imbalances. So I'll just show you what I do. So I don't do as much of the mobility side, but I'm going to do some 90-90 switches, then some 90-90 hamstring holds on the bench. And then basically the rest is kind of just activation work, which honestly I slept on for ages, because I think when you are just starting,
starting, there can be almost an over dependence on glute activation to the point where like you are quite fatigued because you're doing 20 banded exercises. But one thing that I've really learned, I think the more that you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And for years I was like, yeah, booted bands, like activation and stuff, and then I was like, no, don't bother doing them, like and almost jumped on the bandwagon of shitting on them. And now I've sort of, we're in this very like middle ground where it's so dependent lifter to lifter as to what you need. And actually banded work is something that I haven't done for years, but I have found it's really helped me. I literally just do one set of banded like walks. I do them side to side, almost like crab walks, and then I also bring them into different planes of movement. So I walk it forwards and walk it backwards as well. And it's helped. Yeah, I'll do the 1990 switches with my hands, then without, to sit into the position, and then I'll bring that up as well. I can't actually remember the name of them, I used to know, but 1990 switch, up onto your knees, back down, etc. And then I also just do some leg raises here, so just bringing my ankle off the floor but keeping my knee on the floor, and then switches, so ankle on the floor, just bringing my knee off the floor. Again, just to start working the glute med and the hips around there. I'm going to go and do some hamstring holds, 1990 hamstring holds on the bench just to fire that up, and I will do some specific glute activation, so I'll do some B stance RDLs, some hip aeroplanes as well, and then obviously the banded work. Man's working hard. Then I'll do some hip aeroplanes, but I actually do these weighted as well. I saw a video, and obviously hip aeroplanes we would use as a stability exercise and kind of like a little bit of strengthening, but I saw a video saying if you do them weighted, you have almost a counterbalance to really weigh you down. So it means that rather than just focusing on balance, it means you can actually focus on the activation. And it's been really helping me. So rather than just doing them like this and being able to do like 3 reps, just grab a kettlebell. I sometimes hold on to something, but here. I didn't realise that I still had this, but it's the B&D bands. Literally just doing some like banded, like crab walks side to side, squatting down and then walking forwards and backwards, which really just, yeah, primes my glute med very nicely. See, already this is like, we started out at like 6 to 10, worked it up to 8 to 12, and now I'm on about 12 to 15 over the last probably 8 weeks or so. Okay, so I've got a 1x5 top set for normal reps with a range of 115 to 120. Obviously, we're running a slightly shorter block. So last week I did 110. So I've loaded 120. So last one 112 and it felt good. Okay, working sets, we're back to pauses. So specifically trying to cue staying in the quad, so pushing through my big toe, which I think has been quite a sensationalized cue, but really fucking worked for me. What I used to do was, basically I went through a bit of a phase where, like, I'll try and show you. I set up, I start with like a nice neutral spine, and then all I would do is roll my pelvis. So my glutes go into a really shortened position and didn't really have anywhere to then go. So when I was locking out, you can imagine with a heavy load, I get to like here and I've just got nowhere to go. So I lock my legs, I'm still here. And then I had to do like a really excessive lean back, and it's come up quite a lot in the last couple of competitions. So like I was pushing my shins forward, but it was just coming from a rolling, if that makes any sense. So rather than actually pushing into my quads and keeping that neutral spine, I was literally just and then like looking out like this. So we've really been working on that. So I'm keeping my pauses like very light, just to help that cue, and that it's been feeling really nice, really nice. So first accessory is dumbbell RDLs. I've got 3 by 10 to 12, and what I've recently found is because I've been guarding like the very last part of the hinge, I've been bending my knees. So my favorite cue just to really help initiate it before I actually start the sets is to think about to physically put your like fingers in your hip crease and think about physically pushing your hips back with your hands, and that has just helped me to really cue like where am I actually pushing into. So I've got 3 by 10 to 12 of that. I am leaving my my deadlift socks on purely because the next one I have is split squats and I want to put my knee sleeves on, so it's not just a fashion statement, it's just practical. Got split squats next, which is 2 by 10 on each side, but I've got a 60-second rest between each leg and then a 90-second rest between sets. This should just kill us. So adduction and abduction are just brutal in these sessions. So for, where are we? So adductor, I've got one set of 12 to 20 reps at an RP 8 and then an AMRAP at 9, and then I have the same for abductors as well. So we're just basically really working on my weaknesses. Like, it's grim, but we'll blow up because of it. Also, the heating has been on in the gym this whole time. I literally thought I was going to pass out when I was doing my RDS. Okay, I need to go heavier. Alright, and then to finish, I've literally just got 1 minute straight of walking lunges with a light load. So I'm literally just going to grab some 2.5 kilo plates. Fuck me. Right, let's set a minute timer. Basically just to get me moving outside of load, like actually get my heart pumping a little bit, which has been nice, but it's pretty hard. Okay. Brutal. But that's me done. So that's the full session. Can you see how different it is to what I was doing previously? Like, it is full blown power building and I'm fucking loving it. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys have loved it. I'm going to do a few more of these just so you can see full in-depth sessions as well. But if the intro to the video spoke to you, trust me, you need to be in this room. So 3rd of April, 2025, we're going live for the Strength Synthesis Masterclass. Like I say, you can DM me the word masterclass on Instagram to get the link direct to your inbox. I'm just out of breath, oh my God. Or you can click the link in the actual description of the bio of this video and go straight through. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. It's going to be fucking amazing.